So back on January 21st, 2026, something kind of wild happened. Yahoo and AOL Mail just went dark. And of course, social media had a field day with the jokes, right? Who even uses AOL anymore? But here's the thing. Everyone was missing the real story. This wasn't just some old nostalgic brand having a bad day. Nope. This was a critical failure, and it had massive, real-world consequences. And look, that is not an exaggeration. While all the memes were flying around, actual people were getting completely cut off from their bank accounts, from their travel documents, from all sorts of critical services. So this is the story of how the internet's old guard didn't just stumble, it completely collapsed, and why that's a much, much bigger deal than just a broken inbox. We're calling this whole event the Great Digital Lockout, because that's what it was. It wasn't some slowdown or a little glitch. It was a total mass denial of service that hit users all over the world. Honestly, it was a huge, stark reminder of just how fragile our digital foundations have really become. All right, so let's get into the weeds. What exactly happened here? To really understand the chaos, you gotta look at the specific error messages people were getting, because they tell a story of a total systemic collapse of Yahoo and AOL's shared infrastructure. Okay, so picture this. It's about 9:30 in the morning Eastern Time. You go to an outage tracking site like Down Detector, and the chart for Yahoo and AOL Mail just shoots straight up, a vertical line. More than 16,000 complaints flooded in the first hour alone. This was no small glitch. This was the whole system failing at once. And get this, look at the kind of errors people were seeing. It wasn't just a generic, oops, site can't be reached page. They were getting these really aggressive errors, like too many requests and, even worse, 403 forbidden. That basically means the server sees you, it knows you're there, and then it actively slams the door right in your face. And that word edge in the error message, no, it's not talking about the Microsoft browser. It refers to the Edge server, which is part of their content delivery network. Just think of it like the front gate of a huge stadium. The system was so fundamentally broken, it was like the gate was telling every single person trying to get in, nope, we're full, even when the stadium was completely empty. So you have to wonder, right? How does a system this big just fall over like that? Well, to understand that, we need to look past the technical jargon and into the corporate boardroom. Because the timing of this outage, it tells a very clear story of neglect. And the timing here is absolutely critical. Just as this Italian tech giant, Bending Spoons, was in the final stages of its $1.5 billion purchase of AOL, the whole service collapses. It's like a classic example of what they call the acquisition curse. You know, when a company is getting sold, who's really minding the store? Maintenance, stability, yeah, that stuff tends to go right out the window. And this gets us to the heart of what we're calling the zombie brand paradox. It's kind of wild. On one hand, you have AOL, which is still pulling in over $500 million a year, a real cash cow. But on the other hand, it's running on code that basically belongs in a technology museum. It's hugely profitable, but it's been left to completely rot from the inside out. Okay, so we've got ancient tech and some really suspicious timing. But, this isn't just a corporate story. What this outage proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that for millions and millions of people, these old email accounts are so much more than a place for spam. They have become the central key to their entire digital life. And you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, but who does this really affect? And the answer is, it's probably someone you know. Or maybe it's even you, because the ripple effects of this digital lockout were felt far, far beyond just the inbox. I mean, think about it. People literally couldn't get their boarding passes to catch a flight. They couldn't get the two-factor authentication codes they needed to pay their rent. Access to their banks, to government websites, even to their crypto wallets, all of it just locked away behind an email account that for all intents and purposes had suddenly ceased to exist. And this whole mess really gives us a powerful new term to think about this stuff, the digital anchor. You know what I'm talking about? It's that old account you set up years ago and never think about, but it's the one thing holding your entire digital ship in place. And when that anchor gets stuck, like it did here, your whole life gets put on hold. But here's where the story takes a really modern, kind of fascinating twist. What if this wasn't just neglect? A pretty compelling theory is starting to emerge that Yahoo and AOL might have actually accidentally knocked themselves offline in the big race to compete in AI. So the theory goes something like this. Step 1. The company decides it needs to build shiny new AI features for search and mail.
Step 2. To do that, they try to index 2 decades of email data from millions of users all at once. Step 3. The old legacy servers, which were never built for that kind of massive internal data storm, just buckle under the pressure. And the result? A totally self-inflicted global outage.
And this quote just nails the complete absurdity of it all. It really hits at the core irony, right? They were trying to build the absolute future of artificial intelligence on top of an infrastructure that was designed back when a BlackBerry was the coolest piece of tech you could own. The foundation just couldn't support that kind of ambition. All right, so we've covered the tech collapse, the corporate neglect, and even this wild AI theory. So what's the big takeaway? What is the single most important lesson from this whole digital blackout? Well, it's a massive wake-up call for every single one of us. And it all boils down to this one simple idea. In a world that is becoming more and more dependent on super complex AI, the simple, boring stability of our core services isn't just a nice feature anymore. It is everything. Reliability? That is the new luxury. And this outage proves that we've all been taking it for granted. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important question, a question for you. If this whole event was a final warning, then it's probably time to act on it. So take a second and really think, which of your old, forgotten, zombie accounts is the real digital anchor for your life? Because this outage proved, without a doubt, that you need to find those keys before that door gets locked for good.